Good morning, everyone. We are ready to begin m+eweek. Thank you so much for signing up, and thank you for all of your encouraging words. We are so excited to kick this off. Today, we are focusing on, this is Sunday, spiritual health and spirituality. It's all about taking care of the spirit and taking care of the soul, however you choose to do it. That's through meditation, through prayer, through dance, for me, through baking and cooking. So whatever feeds your soul or makes you connect with that part of yourself that really, really makes you go and makes you live to the fullest ability. Basically, that's the way I see it. And this also led to a discussion this morning that Tanya and I had about what does it even mean when you say spirit, or if you say spiritual health versus spirituality versus soul, all of those different words, and it means so many different things to different people. So we're going to talk about that just very shortly, because it's really about how you define it and describe it for yourself and how you feed it for yourself. So now Tanya's going to talk a little bit, and then we have a guest.
So I think this idea of spirit actually embodies what we want to do during this week, which is that we are so much more than our bodies. When we think about Magnus and Eric, they're no longer here, but they continue to be a presence in our lives, and that's really what we're talking about. So that's what we're celebrating, and that's what we're feeding, is our own more than a body aspect. So with that, we have resources. Please be sure to check the Facebook page. Please be sure to join Slack. If you don't have any of that information, please send a message to m+eweek19@gmail.com. And we are happy to be able to provide some guidance, some suggestions, some resources so that you can explore. If you haven't yet found what feeds your soul, what feeds your spirit, you'll be able to use some of these to start to examine that and really understand how you can really allow your spirit to soar. So in that vein, we have so many resources within our own community. And one of the resources that we have been blessed to join us today is Miss Pamay Bassay, class of Pat Bassay, excuse me. This is my morning voice. Sunday morning, slow start. Class of 93. Mm-hmm. And she is the author of My 52 Weeks of Worship. So very appropriately, I thought Mia thought that she would have some words of wisdom to share with us. And so, Pamay, no pressure. There you go.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, no pressure, because I'm on the phone. I'm here with Tanya and Mia, my sisters, my girls. So we're just going to talk about some things and stuff this morning. And I think this gathering and this week is such an amazing, I was just saying, accomplishment. It's a blessing. One thing about traveling the earth and visiting different sacred spaces, you see so many different forms of community, and community within which people are figuring out, how do I make it through this life in one piece? How do I stay healthy? How do I celebrate my joys? And how do I, walk through my pain? Right. So already the tears, right? So, Tanya,
this was not planned.
I know we're all about to start crying.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Okay.
And Mia, you're talking about, it's not about religion or dogma or the path to salvation. I mean, there is a time and a place to talk about that. And there are people who will sit and talk to you about that. I've met many of them. But I think beyond that is the question, what is the source of my strength? And we are all chocolate cardinal. We're working hard to do some things at work, in our families, in our communities. We want to take care of ourselves and take care of our people, right? And that takes strength. And that strength has to come from somewhere. And I think when we are, younger versions of ourselves, and it's not even about youth, we could just hurl ourselves through obstacles and to milestones and deadlines and accomplishments. And from time to time, we may stop and have a quiet moment, but really it's like, we just gonna go out in the world and conquer it. But as you live a little bit, you realize you got to figure out what's going to refill my bucket. How am I going to make it through the days that are not so super? And as people of color, we know we have to deal with our lives, our community's lives, whether or not we are more privileged than others, or whether we're dealing with some things. So life will throw it all at you. And whether or not you're in a church or a mosque or a synagogue or a temple, or you're in your living room, you lit a candle, you got to figure out what is that source. And for me, what has been such a blessing, it's been now 10 years, which is crazy, that I've been working on this My 52 Weeks of Worship project, is to see that there is a sacred space for everyone. So for some people who may have gone to Mom and M's church and then they left and they were like, I ain't never going back there again because that didn't feed my spirit. Or even worse, it assaulted who I am and told me that I wasn't worth this, that, or the other. There's a sacred space for you, and it may be very different than that, and it may be just what you need to make it through, but you have to maybe look for it. But I have been in some spaces where I think, okay, this is not for me, but it's probably for someone else. And so I think the challenge is to really commit to give yourself permission to find that sacred space and really identify what it is that you are going to be able to commit to and stand in, so that you can be all that you're meant to be, and not just your body, and not just your accomplishments, and not just the things that the external world sees, but what's going to drive you to be the you were put here to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to Me Week. If the rest of the week's going to be like this, I'm kind of scared.
Exactly.
Get some different folks together. That's what's going to happen. We can think deep.
Exactly.
Yes.
We get deep really quickly. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You mentioned your book. We definitely want to make sure that people know the title of your book, those who may want to begin. Okay, there we go.
Yes.
It's dog-eared. I reread my book, not because I think I'm fabulous, but because it literally week by week, the lessons I learned in those sacred spaces, the churches, the synagogues, the mosques, there's always a message. And I think this is actually also, for those who may not know the story, the reason why I went on the journey was not just because I wanted to, learn about religion, was because I had a personally challenging year in 2009. My father passed away. My grandmother passed away. And I ended a relationship that I thought was going to end in me being somebody's wife. And it ended in this gentleman friend disappearing and deciding he wasn't up for the task. And so when we talk about losing our friends, and Magnus was my friend and Eric was my friend, that's when you really look at life and say, okay, what is really going on? And so that was the foundation of my journey. And so it's pretty, I think, relevant.
And in the same vein, Pamay, that's the foundation of Me Week. That's what happened with me. I lost my father last year, and lost Eric, and then lost Magnus the year before, both who were very close to me. And I said, I can sit in this grief and stew, or I can figure out a way to make sure that we all take care of ourselves and take care of our souls and get through this together. Because that's the other thing, how we do this, how we care for our spirit, how we care for our souls. Alone is one thing, but we've got a lot of folks, just even this call is a witness to that. Yeah. We get together in 2 minutes, we're all crying or laughing or something, So it doesn't even take long to see that something is touching us. And that's the most important part.
I agree.
Yeah. So thank you, Mia, for this idea. Thank you, Pamay, for reminding us of the community that we have and the fact that none of us are alone. All the situations that we think are unique are less than that. And that we have this, we have, you were talking about so many communities, we have such a special community. And, that it meant the world to Magnus and Eric. And so, it means the world to us. And so I think that was a large part, I'm sure, of Mia's motivation. So I am just pleased to be a part and so excited for the rest of the week. So thank you.
Sure.
Thanks to everybody.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So with that, we want everyone to take the rest of the day and spend your time focusing on your soul and your spirit and what feeds you. As Pamay said, find those sacred spaces just for you, the way you define them. And I'm going to end with a quote by one of my favorite authors, and that's Miss Toni Morrison. And she basically says, if you surrender to the wind, you can fly. So we are going to take off from here. We're going to soar, everyone. So let's do it. Welcome to Me Week.
two.